The story of Mudhal Nee Mudivum Nee acts like a vehicle of nostalgia that takes us down the memory lane and brings back all those days of fun, friendships, and the feeling of being carefree. With the help of multiple protagonists forming a group of friends, we are transported back into the last 2 years of our school life. Those days when we were constantly reminded by our teachers that the efforts that we put into our studies and the subjects that we choose will determine the direction of our respective careers. And of course, we were promised that, don't worry, child, you must be laborious and focused for just 2 more years. And then everything is a cakewalk. Well, honestly, this was clearly a lie because we were promised the same before completing high school. Now, we all know that not every one of us might have promised for studying hard, but we all did promise to foster and strengthen our friendships. We did promise to never forget our buddies and stay in touch. And we did promise to move forward with those relationships and celebrate the maturity of the bond as we mature with age. Mudhal Nee Mudivum Nee is one of those beautifully crafted stories focused on friendship, love, and the good old days of school. But let's face it, we have been witnessing a lot of such cinematic ventures that belong to this same genre of storytelling. And eventually, with the progression of events in such stories, things start becoming quite predictable. These films do leave a good impression, but predictability of the narrative becomes a slight issue for some of us. And that's exactly where the makers of this film have smartly incorporated the use of a plot device that brings a breath of fresh air. This plot device is known as the Deus Ex Machina. And in this video, we are going to discuss the same by looking at major plot points of this film. So yes, spoilers ahead. Let us jump straight to the midpoint of this film. The preparations for the annual farewell party have begun in full swing. Everyone is excited for this event as the teachers of the final batch have successfully convinced the management of the school to organize the event. And indeed, this occasion proves to be quite eventful for a lot of our characters. We can safely say that this is the midpoint of the film because this is the last time when all the kids are going to be together in the school. After this, they will have to cross the boundary of their school campus and enter a new world of ruthless competition where there is no turning back. This is a transitional phase for our protagonists. Remember the word transition because I will be using it a lot more times to explain its various significances. Now, when a character arrives at a midpoint, he or she should experience an event that changes the course of his or her character arc. This is when the character must make an important decision to act. This is the point of no return. And in the case of our lead characters in Mudhal Nee Mudivum Nee, the event that will determine the rest of their lives is the farewell party. This is indeed a point of no return for all of them because every character experiences a particular conflict that transitions their mindset for the rest of their lives. In the case of Catherine, it is the deeply horrific and unexpected encounter with the force of evil. In the case of Francis, it is the forceful disregard of his personal choice and privacy orchestrated by Richard just for the sake of winning a bet. In the case of Durai, it is the unfortunate betrayal from his true friend Richard and taking all the blame for Richard's mistake. In the case of Chinese and Anu, it is the discovery of a beautiful relationship. And the first person who is informed about this is none other than Rekha. And obviously, Rekha would want to share this news with Vinod as well. But destiny begs to differ from the celebration of this happy moment. Rekha and Vinod fall into the trap of misunderstanding and end up breaking bad. Like I said, the farewell party is quite eventful for everyone, and hence it serves as the midpoint of the story. Now let's pause at this frame for a second and let's assume that we all are watching this film together. We have arrived at this scene and we don't know what's going to happen next. So let's predict what happens next. Vinod and Rekha have separated. We know that. They are never going to see each other again. They finish college and start focusing on their careers. Vinod has now become a popular musician just like he wanted to. He probably gets invited by his friends for a reunion. We start seeing Chinese, Durai, Richard, and everyone after a long time. Most of them are married and are living a complete life. But maybe Vinod still doesn't seem to be happy. He chooses to stay away from such gatherings as he's not much of a social animal anymore. But probably this time, Vinod will not regret attending a party because his long lost love, Rekha, shows up on the spot. But she might not be alone and arrives with her husband. After an initial hesitation, Rekha and Vinod get into a conversation, but that wall of separation continues to exist between them. Vinod is probably not able to control himself and might start confessing his persisting love for Rekha. He tells her that he misses her badly, and Rekha might also just realize her feelings for him. There is a chance that they might end up either hugging or kissing each other. But it's too late for them because they have gone way ahead in their lives, and it is impossible for them to come together. And guess what? This is exactly what happens. Except for a couple of situations here and there, the audience could guess the progression of the narrative, and 90% of those speculations prove to be true. But this is where the makers of this film try to defy those expectations. This is when we get to see the introduction of a great plot device, Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina is a Latin term translated from a Greek phrase meaning God from the machine. This is a plot device that is used to solve an unsolvable conflict, to rescue a character from the toughest situations, and to act as a ray of hope in the darkest times. In short, a Deus Ex Machina is like a divine intervention. And in this story, the Deus Ex Machina is none other than Cupid, the god of love, who appears at the most crucial phase of Vinod's life. He tries to save the crumbling relationship of Vinod and Rekha from the brink of collapse by giving Vinod two choices. The first one is that he could just go to Rekha and apologize right away for the misunderstanding, or he can just sit back with his anger and carry on with his life. But he will regret the loss of this relationship, and we know that Vinod stays 100% sure about his decision to move on. So now Cupid explains the outcome of Vinod's choice by transitioning into the future. And quite literally, the dip to white and additive dissolve transitions are used for the same. The screenwriting technique of foreshadowing is used for the character of Vinod so that he can realize his mistake. And every scene that is a part of this foreshadowing acts like the alternate speculative ending for the audience. Now, the plot point where all the speculations are shattered is the reintroduction of Cupid, that is, using the plot device Deus Ex Machina for the second time. Now, the deployment of this plot device proves to be most effective when the audience is least expecting that to happen. Both during the midpoint and the climax, when we witness the usage of Deus Ex Machina, it is something that we were definitely not expecting because we had already plotted the progression of the events after the farewell party incident. For this scene, the obvious assumption is that either Rekha will not leave for New Zealand and come back for Vinod, or both will remain separated for the rest of their lives. In this scene, we notice how Vinod is confessing his feelings for Rekha in front of Chinese. Though he did fulfill his dream of becoming a musician, he still cannot experience that fulfillment because he has everything but Rekha, his true lifeline. This is when the god of love makes his reappearance. But he is not alone. Vinod's younger self, who met Cupid for the first time during the midpoint, is accompanying him on this journey of self-actualization. The audience is informed using right exposition at the right time that whatever we were watching till now was Cupid's attempt to make Vinod understand the consequences of his choice. The choice that will lead him into a world where he would have everything and yet feel incomplete. The choice that would surely make him regret his decision of not reuniting with Rekha when he had the chance. What I really liked about the depiction of Vinod's possible reality is how the art directors and continuity managers have visually depicted various transitions of technological and emotional connectedness between the characters. These props, habits, and reactions act like threads weaving the stories of our characters. The best example of this is when Vinod and Rekha listen to a song on a phone instead of a Walkman in the same way that they used to during their school days. But the feeling and the nature of their relationship has changed dramatically, or would have changed dramatically. So we can say that Cupid is also the personification of life itself that always gives you a choice. The choice of correcting your mistakes, the choice of mending broken friendships, the choice of reworking and reuniting with those who truly love and care for us. The biggest lesson that the makers leave us with is that life is all about the choices that we make. Just like how I made the choice to express my thoughts and bring you such videos on this channel. If you like the efforts put behind this video, do give it a thumbs up and share this video. You can also show your support by hitting the red subscribe button and pressing the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates about new uploads. Do share your thoughts in the comments on Mudhal Nee Mudivum Nee, and I will be back soon with another one. Thank you so much for watching. Long live cinema.